that was everything. And from that moment, then I just grew and grew. And now I think I have nearly 40,000 followers.
The power of you walking into a networking event or an event like in general, and people coming to you and being like, oh, I've seen you online, I know who you are.
What do you think is the biggest common misconception or most commonly made mistake on LinkedIn that lawyers or very successful professionals make who think LinkedIn is not for them? So what is the proportion of time spent posting your own content versus engaging with other people's content? What are 3 things to stop doing from today onwards? 3 things to start doing from today onwards.
This episode is brought to you by our very first show sponsor, capturebee.io. One of the hardest parts of building a business and expanding your personal brand is keeping a steady flow of warm leads and connections. When I first started, chasing leads on LinkedIn was draining, distracting, and let's be honest, not really why I went into business in the first place. Now, just imagine never having to hunt for clients again. No cold outreach, no endless LinkedIn scrolling at 1 a.m., no awkward reels either. That's exactly what CaptureBee does for you. It's a done-for-you outreach service that books warm leads straight into your calendar. And more than that, it can help you get featured on leading podcasts so that you can elevate your personal brand at the same time. If you want to be featured on industry's leading podcasts, you know you need to grow your LinkedIn presence and improve your personal brand, but have zero time to do it yourself. CaptureBee is your answer. I've been using it myself, and it's been just a game changer. So today, I want to share it with you. If you're ready to grow your business and personal brand without burning out in the process, go to capturebee.io.
Helen, Holly, it is so nice to have you on the show. We've spent quite a few hours being online while I was taking part in your LinkedIn Academy, and here we are on the show today. Well, welcome. I'm so excited to have you both.
Oh,
It's great to be here. Thank you.
thanks so much.
We have spent quite a few evenings and mornings. I was actually all the way in Australia, so there was a lot of 3 a.m.ers. You've seen me in like all states, all hours when I was doing your course.
But
We certainly got to know each other quite
you
well.
were still a great student, though. You always asked questions. You always were, raising your voice. So even when it was 3 o'clock in the morning, you were still amazing.
Oh, thanks. It's funny, isn't it? You think you're going to go and live in Australia for 2 months to avoid the 3 a.m. calls, and then you end up having 3 a.m. calls with the UK. So it's just, it never ends.
Yeah, totally.
So today we're going to dive into the topic of LinkedIn mastery and a little bit of digital well-being and how we can prevent burning out online or outside of the social media platforms. And I wanted to really bring you onto the show and talk about your expertise because I found LinkedIn quite overwhelming at times, to say the least. I have a bit of a love and hate relationship with the platform. I feel like it's one of those, there are days where I'm like a LinkedIn fan and other days where I'm like not so happy with it. And perhaps it's because when I started and launched the business, I was very vocal on LinkedIn and it did a great job. And then for a while, I feel like I lost my LinkedIn game, which is why I reached out to you. And I think many of our listeners can relate to maybe my struggles or my journey with LinkedIn. So I would like to know, how did you guys find out about the power of LinkedIn? Was that an accident? Was that a hack? Tell us more.
Helen, do you want to
Shall I
go?
go first? Do you want to go?
Helen, you go first. I know your story.
Yeah, we know each other's stories on this one, don't we? We've, gosh. Well, I think I was there a little bit before Holly sort of arrived on the platform, but to give you a little bit of background, I was a lawyer. I was at Linklaters for the first few years of my career. And then cutting a very long story short, I sort of was retraining outside of that in psychotherapy, then coaching. And whilst I was doing that, I got another job at a London law firm, and I made partner there at a pretty junior age. And at that point, I still had no LinkedIn, or not really. I had like 400 connections. And it was only when I left law, I left partnership to set up my own coaching business, that I suddenly realized I needed clients and I had to pay my mortgage and live. And it was actually the fear of God that brought me to LinkedIn, and the fact that I still needed to pay these bills. So I was just looking at every single way that I could get out there in the market and speak to people and tell people about what I did and connect with people and network. And I did a lot of in-person networking. I reached out to a lot of contacts. I was lucky I had lots of referrals. But at the same time, I wasn't as well known as I needed to be. I wasn't a name. Nobody had heard of me. And it was an uphill battle trying to win clients or trying to just network. People would say, who are you? And why did you leave law to do this? What is it you're doing again? So I started to network on LinkedIn. And actually, it took me probably a good year or so before I really started to pop on the platform. But I was just networking, getting to know people, and all of that went well. And that really helped me. That helped me grow my business. And then there was one day where I started actually speaking in my real voice. I started to really nail copywriting. And I went onto LinkedIn, posted this post, and I hid under a table for about 3 hours because I just thought this is either going to be the make or break of me. This could be career suicide. So I just put this post up there, and it was exposing law firms slightly for their partnership track and how people are sometimes held back by the firms themselves. And this went completely viral. And that was when I realized, actually, when I showed up as me, my authentic self, in my power, with my experience, and with this really strong voice and brand, that was everything. And from that moment, then I just grew and grew. And now I think I have nearly 40,000 followers.
And how did that impact your business as an entrepreneur? And where do you see LinkedIn playing a role in sustaining your success going ahead?
Well, I think what it does is it just opens so many doors for you that you can't even imagine exist. People reach out to you saying, can I work with you? How can I work with you? And actually, you end up being the one assessing them and thinking, do I want to work with you? Are you my ideal client? Are you in line with my vision? Is this the type of work I want? Or if you're invited to a pitch, people already know you. It's so much easier. You're not turning up cold and begging people for work. You start to grow your business on your own terms. And for me, that's been a complete game changer. I mean, I do all of the LinkedIn work with Holly, and we train lawyers on this and we help them grow their brands and their businesses. But I also coach lawyers to become partners and grow their book of business outside of that. So for me, it just means that I become the go-to person in the industry, the go-to expert, which is exactly what I try to help my clients understand. And it's hard to explain to people what is possible. And until you get that, people will be reaching out to you. It completely changes the game.
And Holly, I can't wait to hear your story, but I wonder if I can ask you, Helen, one more question on that is, what would you say to a partner at a law firm who is still not playing the LinkedIn game and thinks, it's for the new kids on the block and it's for the Gen Zs only and it's not for them, etc., which I'm sure you've heard many times before?
I would say they're making a huge mistake. Huge mistake. I've had so many senior partners say to me, this is for the juniors. Make no mistake, this is not just for the juniors. It is more important for you if you are more senior, because this is the very best way to leverage and grow your business. I'm not saying forget in-person networking. In-person networking is still extremely valuable. Your referrals are valuable. Your relationships are valuable. But this is a way to enhance this, to 100x this. It means that you meet someone at an event and then they see you online every day, every week for the next however long. So you are front of mind and you are constantly able to position yourself. You get this right and you become a thought leader. You become the go-to expert. You become the known name in your field. You may not even be the best lawyer, but you're the go-to. So if you think this is for Gen Z, be my guest to carry on thinking that way, but you're making a mistake.
Holly, I see you laughing. I know you just can't wait to talk at this point. You're just there.
I just love listening to Helen because she's so dramatic.
Once a lawyer, always a lawyer.
She just makes me laugh with the use of language, but I mean, I'm equally as dramatic, but she's right. She's totally right. Like if you want to continue thinking the old way of networking is the going to the golf meetings, going for a drink with people one to one, and deepening those relationships, which are fantastic. Like, what about LinkedIn, where you can do this on a mass scale? If you do a post and it reaches hundreds of thousands of people through impressions, which is totally possible through one post alone, you are completely widening the net, casting that net out, and just planting seeds in people's heads and attracting people. And there's no other place apart from, other social media, but lawyers aren't really in other places. I think LinkedIn is where lawyers are, which is why we're there. It's literally the best way to meet people, and then by all means meet those people in person. But the power of you walking into a networking event or an event, like in general, and people coming to you and being like, oh, I've seen you online, I know who you are, that ice is already completely broken. You don't need to go up to people and be like, hey, what do you do? I do this, and have to pitch yourself every time you're in front of a new person. They know who you are, and they're actually already willing to be open to what you offer because they've seen it out there and on there. You've warmed them up. So the hard work is already done automatically without you having to put out your energy,
Mm. What do you think is the biggest common misconception or most commonly made mistake on LinkedIn that lawyers or very successful professionals make who think LinkedIn is not for them?
I think it's lack of reach because they're posting the wrong content. So they think it's not for me because I'm not getting any engagement. Nobody's interested. Yeah, if no one's interested, then, like, without being blunt and horrible, look at yourself.
Be blunt and horrible. Go for it.
Don't encourage her, Charlene.
Holly, you remember. Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, Helen gets scared when I say I'm going to be blunt
Oh
now.
God, it's awful. I just think, my God, can I go make a cup of tea? Can I get out of the room?
Oh, you go for it, Holly. We don't censor things on this show.
Love it. Look at yourself. There's an issue with you. There's not an issue with everybody else. There's an issue with what you're posting. If you're not getting the traction or engagement, look at you, not think it's a problem with the platform or everyone else around you. When I first started posting on LinkedIn, I came from law as well. I used to be a lawyer, and then I wanted to build up a client base of law firm clients so that I could do marketing for them, copywriting for them. And I started posting legal updates on LinkedIn. Oh, here's the latest law that's been passed. Here's the latest case, like these types of things. And nothing was working because nobody is interested. And I think that's what a lot of lawyers do wrong. They post content that is not interesting to people because they can find it on the BBC News, So then I started telling stories, and this was the key. You start telling stories, and everybody loves a story. Why do we tell stories to kids? Because it's the best way for them to learn about different scenarios, and they love it. Why do we enjoy stories? Because we love being taken on that journey, and we need to be applying the same rules that we've always loved as human beings into LinkedIn. Even if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter. Once I started telling my story of how I went from law to a business owner, and then combining stories into every post, whether it's even an educational post, it completely changed everything.
Can I just bring forward some objections here and play devil's advocate and almost, be the person who's listening to this, raising eyebrows, thinking, oh, I'm dubious, I'm skeptical. Basically, most people listening thinking, well, how does that work? So for instance, Holly, I love what you're saying, but let's say I'm a junior partner and all I've got to say is that I'm speaking at arbitration week. And what I really want to say is I'm delighted to be speaking at Arbitration Week next week. And I'm sure we've never seen a post like that on LinkedIn, right? Ever.
So unique.
And I wonder why this post is not going viral. And I'm sitting there thinking, Holly, help me. How do I turn I'm speaking at Arbitration Week into a story? What do I do?
So when you're looking at talking about something quite general or probably boring to your audience, you need to think about, why is it important to them? People basically don't care about you or what you're doing. They care about how that makes them feel, about how it's applicable to them. So if you're talking at Arbitration Week on a really, really important topic, then maybe you could talk about a story like, I don't know, 5 years ago, I couldn't even talk in front of 3 people because I was so terrified. I had imposter syndrome, and now I'm talking at the biggest arbitration event in the country. Here's the lessons that I learned through those 5 years and how it's applicable to you. So you're turning a boring announcement into something that the audience can take away, the lessons that they can learn from what you have learned in your experience. This is probably a really, really great way to talk about something like this, for example.
How did LinkedIn become a platform for boring announcement? What has happened? Because and I want to include myself. I have to be really honest here. Like, I've spent years making those boring announcements, and working with you has been really transformative. But why do we make this mistake? Why do we think that that's the right thing to do? Because I know I'm not alone there.
Helen?
I've definitely done that myself. I was looking back over my first LinkedIn post the other day, and there were hashtags all over them. Don't, please, everybody listening to this, do not use hashtags. They're out. But every other word was almost a hashtag, and it was, I'm delighted this, and I'm pleased to announce. And I think the difficulty is it was just seen as a kind of CV platform where you notify your connections, who at that point weren't very many people probably, that something of note had happened in your career. So it just came a place to say, well, I've attended this event, or I'm doing this, or I've got this new job. Well done me. You should look at me because I'm doing really well. And actually it's changed. It's a different beast now. At that point, as I say, I think people's circles were very small, and it was all people you knew in your immediate network. Now what we're talking about is networking on steroids. It's networking with so many potential people who you potentially never could have reached before. And it's doing it in a way that really taps into influencer marketing. And by saying that, I know Holly's got some views on this. We're not saying be influencers like on TikTok and do a silly dance. We're saying that you need to understand the psychology of sales and marketing and social media so that you can connect with your audience and make yourself somebody that they want to follow. And that is a different strategy entirely from, hey, I'm Helen and I just did this in my career and I made partner and whatever else. This is, I want you to come to me because you know that every single time I post, you're going to take away something of value and I'm going to become somebody worth knowing.
Can you walk us through where to begin? Let's say I'm a professional listening to this right now. My LinkedIn is somewhat dead, a bit dull, a bit dusty, all the Ds. I have a profile picture that's about 10 years old. My last post was from 2 jobs ago, and I don't even know where to begin, frankly. I don't feel like I have stories to tell. I also am a bit skeptical about whether or not I want to be known as a LinkedIn person, because is my firm happy with me doing that? I'm a bit skeptical. Also, I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm not a marketeer. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a lawyer. I'm a happy lawyer who wants to keep being a lawyer. And I hear you. I want to take on your advice, but I don't know where to start. If you're enjoying this show so far, I just have a very quick favor to ask you. Could you go ahead and click the follow button or the subscribe button?
it would mean so much to me, and it would really help to grow our show so that we can enhance the production, we can bring you the best possible guests, and we can have the most amazing conversations. So if you haven't already done this, please take a moment today to go ahead and click the follow button or the subscribe button. Thank you so much. And now let's go back to this amazing conversation.
Holly?
Helen. I know you love explaining this.
Okay, the next one I'll decide who goes first. The next round we'll have straws, and we're just gonna do it with straws.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay,
You say Helen, I'll add on.
okay, I'll start on this one then. So first of all, okay, LinkedIn, it can seem really daunting at first, but I think what you need to do is just take it step by step from the beginning. But first and foremost, I would also say to anyone listening to this, what I say to my coaching clients, which is you cannot expect to have any impact on anything in your life if you're not willing to put in any effort. So if you're thinking, well, I just want to turn up once a month and do some post, it's not going to be enough. And I'm just going to be brutal on that, because it's like with any journey, when you see something that's important and it needs to be done properly, you have to put some time into it. Some time. I'm not saying all of your time at all, but it's a bit like lawyers, for example, who become those workhorse associates, aren't creating time for BD, and then they wonder how they're not partnership material. We're talking about a similar thing here. You have to carve out some time every week, even if it's just an hour or so as a minimum, to really work on your LinkedIn. You need to think about your profile. We have so many resources on this, which we give. We have a cheat sheet. We have a starter pack with a whole framework that you can literally just go through this pack, and it will tell you everything you need to do. But basically, you just create a profile that actually speaks to your ideal audience, your ideal client. So you have a nice photo, you create a nice banner. In your about section, you don't talk about yourself in the third person. You talk as if you would talk to a nice professional friend, explaining what you do in easy to understand languages. Make sure easy to understand language. Make sure that it's up to date in terms of your skill set, your work history, etc., in a very basic sense. Aside from that, with posting is an art in itself, but just start to be more human. That's what I would say. Tell stories, connect with the people on the platform who are already posting a lot. There are lots of lawyers now, and I think that will provide inspiration. Talk about things you're doing inside of work, outside of work, events you've attended, but write in a way that connects with your audience. So instead of, for example, saying, as Holly said, I'm delighted that I attended this conference, you say what you took from the conference. You say what you found to be of value. Again, we actually provide so many frameworks to help with this. I just can't in a nutshell explain it all. But I think it's about taking it step by step, connecting with people, and realizing as well that this is a community. And that's key. This is not somewhere that you turn up once a month for half an hour and then disappear again. When you become part of that community and you start to build up your name, it becomes intuitive as to how you interact with people, post. And actually, one of the most powerful things you can do if you don't know what to post is just to comment on other people's posts and start supporting them, because then they will support you. That will help you and the algorithm in your posts. And also, if your comment does well, that's a really good indication that if you did a post on the same topic, that would do well. So just start small, make your profile acceptable and look nice, start commenting, and then have a think about what you might be able to post.
So, in other words, Helen, would it be correct to say that if I just have a strategy that is something like creating 3 posts a week, and I spend hours building those posts, and then I hope for the best, close my eyes, and turn up next week? Is that just a missed opportunity, right?
A big problem with that is that you're assuming that there are people sitting there ready to read your posts. You have to build an engaged audience. So you have to get the right people into your network, add them in, start interacting with them, making sure that they're enjoying what you're saying, like that they like you as a person. And then with time, that builds up. And that builds up into an engaged audience who are going to like your posts and comment on them. But at the beginning, it might actually be quite quiet because people don't know you. Why would they take the time to read your posts? And I think this is the key bit that people don't realize. People look at Holly and I now and say, wow, you get incredible engagement. How do you do that? Because we give a huge amount of value to the platform. We give a huge amount of value to our audience, and we show up time and time and time and time again. And people know that they will get that value from our posts. When I first started posting, not many people were listening.
So, what is the proportion of time spent posting your own content versus engaging with other people's content?
Do you want
I
me to
mean,
I'll pass on to you, Holly. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
it depends on what your goal is for the platform. So if your goal is just to be visible, it's, let's say you're a lawyer, you work in a law firm, and you don't really want to be building a brand or a presence because you're not really interested about getting clients. You just want to be on there networking, meeting people, being part of a community, and just being visible, which is a great first step, because I know a lot of lawyers do have a little bit of imposter syndrome around the platform, because it's like, oh, I don't know what to say and I don't want people to see me and these things. So that's absolutely fine. If you want to do that, then I would say spend the majority of your time commenting and writing very thoughtful comments, not great post or very insightful. That is not valuable to the audience or to the person who's posted, because what do they say back? A valuable comment would be something that is adding an extra layer of perspective, for example, or a little bit more value to the post. So let's say the post is about a legal update. Do you have a unique perspective on this legal update that's not been mentioned in that post? Or could you ask the person who's posted that post a question to clarify a point, to get a conversation going? So I would say add value in comments, because comments in actual fact will make you more visible on the platform. Because imagine if you're commenting on different people's posts and their posts are getting, I don't know, 20,000 likes, 20,000 impressions, 50,000 impressions, whatever. You're spreading yourself across all these different posts. You're going to be seen loads on LinkedIn, more so probably than if you post.
So, Holly, what if I just turn up and all I do is click thumbs up and say, great event, looks fantastic, sounds good, good post. Am I engaging?
No, you're not really adding value, and you won't really be creating that type of connection or community around you. So the goal is, by commenting and liking, is to create connections with people, create friendships, with the people whose posts you're posting on. So I have people who will turn up on my posts every time I post, and they'll add a really interesting comment, and they'll like, and they'll ask questions, and then I'm likely to have a conversation with that person in the DMs, because they always show up, they support me, and they're interested in what I talk about. So I want to have a conversation with them, privately, and then maybe I'll even meet them in person. So this is kind of the process that you go through if you're wanting to build connections on the platform through liking and commenting. So by simply saying great post, it's unlikely that you're going to attract the attention of the person who's posted, because you're not really adding anything to them or even building any type of relationship.
And so, when you're telling me to follow this strategy, who do I engage with? Do I engage with people like me? Do I engage with my potential clients? Do I engage with people I want to work with? Do I choose frenemies? Do I choose competitors? Right? I think this is a valid question, because when we navigate on LinkedIn, where do we go? Let's say I don't have an engagement strategy yet, and I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, well, what do? I poke around and I pick my previous clients, because I know John already likes me and trusts me as a professional and he's likely to engage with me positively? Or do I pick Jordana because I want to pitch to her and I really want to engage with her and we've never had a chance to pick a conversation? Who do I go to, and what should be my strategy in terms of engagement go to?
I think, again, it depends on what your goal is. So if your goal is to get new clients, then definitely seek out your ideal clients on the platform, and maybe even the type of clients that your clients would have. So who are your clients likely to be around? Where are they likely to be kind of hanging out? Who are they likely to be commenting? Whose posts are they likely to be commenting on? And go and be where they are, and yeah, by all means, follow them, engage with them, like their posts. If your goal is to meet other lawyers, then just find people that you like, find people's posts that you like. It's like what going to a networking event. I think people confuse LinkedIn and offline networking as completely different things. You know, at a networking event, you wouldn't randomly go up to someone and say to them, oh, I do this, I do this, I do this. Do you want to buy my services? And that's what a lot of people do in the DMs. And it's like, you wouldn't do that at a random networking event. You don't know me, you haven't built a relationship with me. So why are you doing it in the DMs? It's the same thing. Again, at a networking event, if you're wanting to seek out your ideal clients, then you go to where they are and you start just having conversations with them and see if you like them and if they're nice people to do business with. It's the same on LinkedIn. If people are posting cool, interesting pictures and have interesting posts, then engage with those guys, you know?
So you're saying that if I just spend my time DMing all my ideal clients and sending them cold pitches, that's not a really good move, is it? Go on, go on. I want to hear it all.
I know that it's Helen's pet peeve.
Oh God, I hate it.
Helen, I know you have an opinion on that. That's why I'm trying to tease it out.
Yeah.
Because let's be frank here. I mean, you two are LinkedIn goddesses, right? I'm sure you get hundreds of DMs and cold pitches every day. What do you do with them? What do you think? What do you want to say to people out there that send you cold pitches on DMs? Good use of their time, bad use of their time?
For me personally, it just doesn't work. It's an interesting one because I feel like there may be cultural differences with this as well. I'm not sure, but for example, in the US, I think it's a lot more usual that you reach out to someone and you say, hey, this is what I'm selling. I'd love to connect and here's how I can help you and look at all these things I've got. You say that to an English person, they're not going to take that well. You know, first of all, we don't show off. We don't like to big ourselves up too much, and we certainly don't like that kind of really strong introduction. So I think it's always about thinking, who is your audience and how are you going to connect with them? Personally, I like to connect in a really organic way that feels good and get to know people. So I'll often be commenting a lot on their posts before I would even send them a connection request, unless I already know them, of course. And I would generally always put a note as well on that connection request. At the same time, I think, yeah, if I receive those cold DMs, I mean, I get so many of them now. If I don't like the way someone's behaving or what they're saying, I generally won't respond because I just don't have time to. You know, I don't have time to say, I'm sorry, but this isn't for me. This isn't for me. This isn't for me 100 times a day. I'll just blank it. If I'm honest, though, I don't think this is lawyers' problem. A lot of the time, they're not actually reach out to people and doing the cold DMs. I think they're just doing the odd post that says, I'm delighted to have achieved this award or have gone to this event. And then they wonder how on earth they actually leverage the platform to their advantage. And just to go back to a really important point that you mentioned earlier on, which was people being afraid to work within the framework of what their firm allows. A lot of people still don't want to lift their head above the parapet and be the first one speaking or be called out for what they're saying. And I think if you are in that position, it's important to work out what probably would be okay, what wouldn't be okay. But you can still start talking about your cases and things that are happening in the news or things that are happening in your sector in a really interesting way, which is from a thought leadership perspective. And that's also something we specifically teach. And by the time this podcast comes out, we will have quite a lot of materials and resources on that. So if you're feeling like, I don't want to say all this stuff about myself and I don't want to make myself vulnerable, fine. But do talk about your expert area in an interesting way, whether that's in the comments of other people in your sector, whether that's your own posts.
Helen, I think it's really important for us to take a deep dive into this thought leadership, because that's something that I really learn with you and from you. And I think it's an important reframe. So can you maybe give us an example and a counter example? So what would be a post that would be sort of an anti-thought leadership post? So what we would classify as slightly boring, probably not going to get that community engagement, versus same topic, say differently in a thought leadership piece, like a very small, concise example. Do you have one?
Gosh, put me on the spot off the top of my head. It might be something like, say there's a big judgment that's come out from, let's say, the Supreme Court. I was a litigator, so that sort of thing might happen. You could say something like, last week, as was handed down on Monday, a really important judgment that's going to change the legal sector in these sorts of ways, and these clients might be affected, blah, 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 blah. And the paragraph goes on and on and on and on and on. And actually, it's just reporting what's happened. It's not giving me any additional value, as Holly said, aside from, you could read that on the BBC. You could read that on the case reporting site. People come to you as a lawyer because they want to hear your opinion and your insight. So think about, who's your ideal client? What is it from that judgment that they need to hear? It could be, if you are this person, you're at risk of losing this amount of money if you don't do X. This is what you need to be aware of. These sorts of clauses, this is what's being said. It's a grey area, but in my opinion, we need to be looking at this, this, and this. If you've got any questions or you're worried, drop me a DM. So you've actually taken what's happened, and instead of just reporting it, you're giving value by giving your opinion, and you're positioning yourself as that go-to person. If you think about, money saving expert, I know that's not the same as most lawyers, but that guy Martin, whatever his name is, if you had any questions on your personal finances, you'd be Googling him, because he knows. If something happens in the news, he reports it. So you've got to think of yourself a bit like that. Think of it as your opinion column.
Okay, so you don't want to be just a news reporter. You want to put your take on it, right? You have a voice and you have an opinion, and you want to be vocal
If you
about
don't
it.
have an opinion, what value are you adding, and why should someone come and pay you?
Because also anyone can report, a non-lawyer can report about a case. Literally anyone can do it. What makes you different is your professional views based on your years of experience and all that studying you've done and that analyzing. That's what you're applying to this situation. That's why people are listening to you as an expert, as opposed to just your average person who can report any type of thing,
And on that, I have heard lawyers say, well, what holds them back is to say, what if I say something wrong? What if I'm incorrect? Actually, if you look at a LinkedIn post, it's not very long. You're not saying anything that's shattering the earth or quantum physics. You just need to lay out what's happened and give a bit of perspective. Actually, if you're getting too complicated, you need to be writing an article. And by the way, you can write an article as well. But again, don't just say, read my article. People don't realize it, but one, it's a bit lazy, and two, you're missing out on so many people, because the post acts as a gateway to the article. So it really should be a summary of the article, really, and the key points and the key value, and then saying, if you want to read more, read my article. So then you've captured two audiences. You've captured the ones who are scrolling quickly. You've captured the ones who want to go into more depth. But in every single instance, you're adding value. You wouldn't write an article and just report the law. So think of it the same way on LinkedIn.
And what are your thoughts around personal life posts versus professional life posts, and where is the boundary, if any? Is there any gray zone? Do we want bikini pictures on LinkedIn? Do we not? I know this may sound like a funny, silly question to ask, but frankly, it's one that I get asked quite regularly, and I'm sure you've had that question pop up before. Holly, what's your view on that? Holiday pictures, yes or no?
I'm always posting holiday pictures.
And that's why I chose not to pick you at all. This was a random pick. I've never seen you in Spain in your holiday hats and sunglasses and shorts. Never.
It's unheard of, right?
Right? Who would do such thing?
Yeah. I know. I think the difference between the personal and professional is, at the end of the day, if you're on the platform, you're on it for a reason that is to probably sell a service or a product. You're selling yourself, you're marketing yourself. Otherwise, I don't know why you're on there unless, even just making connections and networking, you're marketing yourself. You want to be known for something, right? So at the end of the day, people buy from people. And if you're constantly posting professional posts, then it may be that you're not giving yourself an opportunity for people to know who you are as a person and for you to be fully authentic. So I always do a mixture of kind of personal and professional posts, and even professional posts, I might add the odd, myself in shorts. Because at the end of the day, I want people to know that I travel and that I'm not boring.
There is a reason why I picked that topic as well. And I'm really inviting you both to give me a bit of, live coaching and even, some live LinkedIn lessons live, and to critique my own tactics, because I honestly hold back from posting a big chunk of my life, as I think you both know by now. And frankly, it's because I think, I'm not sure it belongs there. Just a recent example, I toured the US, visited 6 different US cities, traveling from one law firm to another. I haven't made a post about it because I think, do I really want to be that person who says, I've been there and there, and this is me traveling all over the US? And I didn't want to make a fuss about it. And then just came back from my honeymoon in French Polynesia and have this National Geographic picture like, and I thought, I want to share because actually it's a part of my passion, and I'm a water baby, and I dive and I snorkel and I dive with sharks, etc. And I didn't. And I just thought, there is a part of me that wants to and the other part of me that doesn't, and the part that doesn't wins. So I need you to tell me live what I'm doing wrong here. Go on, unfiltered.
Can you tell us a bit about what is this part of you that doesn't want to post? What's stopping you? What's the narrative there? Because you're saying you've achieved all these amazing things in the US and you've actually had all these incredible life experiences recently on the honeymoon. What's stopping you?
So 2 different things. For the honeymoon, I think it's, why would people care, maybe? Or how is that professional? It's that old construct of me being a former big law attorney and having this very corporate vision of what success is and what being a professional means. And I actually nearly posted a picture, and then I realized that the top bit showed a bit of skin, and I was in a swimsuit, and I thought, oh dear, do I really want all my partner colleagues and all the HR wonderful professionals that I work with to see me with that much skin showing, even though it was a beautiful post with tropical fishes? So that held me back, my notion of what a professional should and should not post, even though it's a big part of my passion and my life and my seeking adventures and search for fitness and breath work and free diving, etc. And the other part is just a bit of maybe misplaced humility, of not wanting to show too many different locations or successes and be a bit cringed out by it, if I'm being totally honest. And I think that's maybe me being more British than I am by birth, but just a bit of misplaced humility.
I think you have to think about what you want your brand to be, and I think I know your brand is like very could you give me a few words to describe it, because I'm trying to think of the words and they're not coming to my head.
Corporate, quite yes, quite
like
corporate, quite
but not
law firm framed.
yeah, kind of like, would you say serious? I would say potentially.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think in that case, then, you swimming probably wouldn't fit your brand, And just because other people are doing it doesn't mean you need to do it. I know plenty of people who have plenty of photos like that, but will only post pictures of them that are taken professionally at events or them talking on stage, because they want to be seen as a bit like you, like corporate, serious, super professional, because their clients, they want their clients to see them as that. So I think there's no problem whatsoever if you're not posting those types of things.
Holly, can I just
But
say just ask one thing here, which is,
yeah.
I'm wondering here, Charlene, whether this corporate image, whether there's actually something deeper than this here in terms of your brand, and this also might go to other people's brands in terms of what they are portraying and what they deeply want to portray. Because actually, I feel like on Instagram, I've been following you on Instagram for quite a long time, we see a different side of you. And I wonder if here actually there's something around, actually, I want to show more of myself. I want to show other parts of, or expand my brand. And actually, at the moment, I've got this idea of LinkedIn, and I'm being a bit straitjacketed by that.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I feel that on Instagram, I give myself a lot more permission to show holidays picture, family pictures, my family, things that I wouldn't feel are quote unquote appropriate on LinkedIn. And I just wondered whether you had a view on whether or not this is the right strategy, or whether or not there is a place to share appropriate content, of course, for people to know deeper parts of our lives. Like, for instance, I didn't put a single picture of my wedding on LinkedIn. I didn't think that belonged there, so to speak. But a few of my clients have texted me lovingly, like beautiful emails and messages. Where are the wedding photos? Why have we not seen them? And I thought, oh, I don't know. It just didn't feel appropriate to put it on LinkedIn. So, wedding photos on LinkedIn, yes or no, for example?
I personally wouldn't put wedding photos on LinkedIn of me. I'm not saying anyone else, but like, I just wouldn't do it. What's so funny?
When you said anyone else, I was thinking you put other people's wedding photos on your LinkedIn. But random people.
That was a funny comment.
Look,
Holly. Let me show you a collection of random people's wedding. I think you need to make that post now, Holly. I'm waiting for it. Here is the top 10 collection of the most beautiful weddings I've ever attended. Kiss, kiss, Holly.
Send me some pictures of your wedding then, and I'll add it to
the Sure. I dare you, Holly. If you post my wedding photo, honestly,
she'll beat you to it, Charlie.
This is a challenge. Game on.
I'll think of an epic idea to go with the picture, like, and then be like, yeah, this is just a random wedding photo, not my wedding. I didn't go. But I know the person.
It's just interesting because I know it's on people's mind, right? Where is the boundary, whether or not you post photos, children, life events, and we see those popping up more and more. I think you would agree that we see more pets than ever before: the cats, the dogs, the children. And I find those photos very endearing. I don't personally do the same, so I just wondered if you have an opinion on it. Helen, pets, children, yes or no?
Sorry, it's so hard, isn't it, when there's three, because it's like you're trying to look at other people's faces, like someone about to talk. So I think here, what Holly and I speak about a lot is the difference between private and personal. You don't need to post anything that's private. We don't need to know about your recent doctor's appointment, unless you particularly want to share that. I often cringe out of those posts. Sorry, people, but there is such a thing as oversharing. We don't need the private stuff on LinkedIn, but personal is helpful because, as Holly says, people buy from people. So people need to feel as though they know you, and it's actually them knowing you and them feeling that wonderful feeling of endearment towards your photos that makes them then want to work with you and buy from you. And that almost sounds a bit superficial at that point, but that's how it works. And I think as well, you build your muscle. Like now, the stuff I write very candidly on LinkedIn, and probably some of the photos I've shared, sometimes I'm just on the beach or walking. I'll have very professional shots. Sometimes it's me with no makeup on the beach. The point is I've grown this muscle to understand what I'm comfortable with, and I keep pushing that boundary and seeing what happens. And actually, I have a very engaged community now who I know really appreciate me for who I am and my content. So at the beginning, no, you probably don't need to post necessarily from your family holiday if you don't feel that that's appropriate for you. but just start playing with things. For example, your work trip to the US, being those 6 cities, I would say to you, pick one event that happened and tell a story about it. Tell us what happened and see what happens. See how engaged your audience is. See how that felt for you. And the next time you might think, oh, I'm just going to give that a go. Keep giving that a go, because it's going to normalize it. And I think you'll realize then how deep the connections are that you make. And I think the other thing to look at is inside yourself and noticing, what is it in me that's resisting? Is it that I really don't want to do this? Or is it that I'm fearing not being good enough? I'm fearing really being seen. I'm fearing not having the respect of certain people. So I'm not saying push yourself out there and put yourself on the line unnecessarily, but at the same time thinking, if somebody's going to judge you for you being you and you being authentic within professional boundaries, are they really the person you want in your network and that you want to be working with anyway?
Yeah, no, I really love that you said that. And also, I have to say that I've had some really beautiful personal success stories on the very, very rare occasion that I've posted something slightly more personal. I, for example, posted back in December, actually influenced by the two of you. So I'm very grateful for that. Just a very simple picture out of the Great Barrier Reef where I was on a snorkeling trip. And I bonded with one of my connection over tropical fishes and being Great Barrier Reef lover and all those things. And I didn't suspect that he loved snorkeling as much as I do. And we actually bonded at a deeper level. And it was just such an organic, nice networking like conversation that happened off the visible platform into the DM space, where he just sent me, oh, I just wanted to share about my own trip. This picture reminded me of my memory. And I thought, oh, that was really nice, because that felt like such an authentic conversation that would be something you say at a dinner table and you bond with someone at a human level, right?
Totally. That's what it's all about.
Mm, it is. It's a fine line, though, knowing what to post and not to post. It really is.
Yeah, like Helen says, it is a muscle at the end of the day. You just gotta try it, see what works, and then, just keep trying different things. It's all an experiment at the end of the day.
Sure. I want to just ask you one last question before we wrap it up, and it's split into two. So, Holly and Helen, I'm going to just allocate you part of the last question. Holly, I would like for you to tell us what are 3 things to stop doing from today onward. I'm listening to this 3 no-goes. And Helen, I would like you to tell us 3 things to start doing from today onwards, simple things to start doing. Holly.
Okay.
What do we need to stop doing from today, from this moment onward?
Okay. Stop lurking. Number 1. Stop going on LinkedIn and not doing anything, just looking. That's a little bit of a waste of time, in my opinion. Number 2, stop. Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Tricky one. I'd say stop saying I'm delighted to announce, or I have an announcement, or I've done this thing, da, 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 da. Because, as I say, most people don't really care about you. They care about how it affects them. So if you write a post, make it valuable at least to the reader. So that could be entertaining, inspiring, or educational. But don't just announce something, because literally nobody cares.
Okay.
And then stop sending random connection requests without putting a reason why you want to connect with that person. So I get so many connection requests, and I would say out of 10, I probably accept 1 out of 10 every connection request I get, because it's someone irrelevant, or they've not left a message as to why I'm a good person to connect with them. Or they'll write something which says like, hi, I love what you're doing. Let's connect. well, that means absolutely nothing to me, because I don't understand why that's kind of valuable to me and why you might be a good person for me. Again, people don't care about you. Like, they care about what you can do for them. So bear this in mind, even when you're connecting with people. Like, I don't connect with random people because I don't want their content on my feed. So that's what I would say.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
I
Helen.
feel quite lucky because I had the time to think whilst Holly was put on the spot there. Thank you, Charlene, for letting me go second. So number one of what you should be doing, you should be realizing that you are sitting on this incredible gold mine and opportunity, and that LinkedIn is your own cultivated or to be cultivated 24/7 networking room. So I want you to start thinking about who are the ideal people you want in that networking room, and I want you to start adding them, 10 people a week. Okay. And as Holly says, don't just send blind connection requests out. Actually, maybe start warming them up a bit, or at least leave them a note. You know, if they haven't got such a big audience, they're probably more likely to accept your connection request anyway. But that would be my first really big thing that you should do. The second one is just improve your profile. Pick a nice photo. Make sure your photo is visible to everybody. Some people have a hidden photo so that you can't actually see it until you've connected with them. That makes you completely impersonal. They've got no idea who you are. So just sort out your profile so that it looks nice when people land on it and think, this is somebody I'd like to have in my network. They look like a nice, good, interesting person. And then finally, start commenting. Leave at least 3 comments a day on LinkedIn. It's not very much. You can do it on the tube, on the bus. I was going to say on the toilet. I've got no idea why that came to me. Not hygienic, but whatever. I know loads of people take their phones in. Whatever. The point is you can have your phone with you anywhere, and it doesn't need to be a big thing, but leave those comments, because that is what's going to build your relationships. I've ruined it now with the toilet comment, but that's what's going to build your relationship.
No, I think that was excellent. It's also just so relatable. Everybody's on LinkedIn on the toilet. Let's be honest.
That's going to end up being the one takeaway from this podcast, isn't it?
Oh God, I can see a viral reel going out. Hashtag what I learned from Helen and Holly.
Yeah, that would be it.
That would be it. I'm so grateful to you both, and I just really want to reiterate everything that I learned through your LinkedIn Academy. I recommend it wholeheartedly. And is there anywhere specific you want our listener to connect with you?
So I think the best way to connect with us would be come join us on LinkedIn. Do follow us, connect.
Surprise.
Yeah, we'd love to see you there. That is where we hang out most of the time, virtually. We're not that sad, we do have real lives as well. We also have a newsletter, so we can drop that in the links as well. We have so many resources to help people, both free and some of them really like low cost. So we're really trying to help as many people as possible. We also have an upcoming course, and so just keep your eyes and ears posted for everything that's going to be happening. But anything that happens when this podcast comes out, we'll give to you, and we can link in the comments.
And we'll add to the show notes. Thank you so much, Holly, Helen. So grateful, and see you on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Charlene.
Wondering how to really unlock your LinkedIn without feeling totally overwhelmed? Helen and Holly have prepared a LinkedIn starter pack just for you that makes it super simple to get started with the platform. I've used it myself. It's clear, step by step. It's a toolkit that really helps you stand out, connect with the right people, and grow your professional presence with ease, one step at a time. You can get your copy today via the link in the show notes. I hope you find it as useful as I have. Thank you for spending your time with me today and listening to this episode. Remember to subscribe so that you can receive weekly updates. And if today's message resonated with you, please remember to share it with a friend, a colleague, or a loved one who could really benefit from this episode.